Okay, today we're going to be working on project number 12, 11. We're going to be doing 11, Celsius to Fahrenheit. We're going to do it as a class so that we can practice, but you're going to be helping me doing this, okay? So they're asking us to write a program that converts Celsius temperature to Fahrenheit temperatures. This is the formula that they use. To get the Fahrenheit, they have to divide 9 by 5, multiply it by C, and add 32. This is the formula that we use to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit. F is the Fahrenheit temperature and C is the Celsius temperature. The program should prompt the user to input a Celsius temperature and should display the corresponding Fahrenheit temperature. So we're going to be asking the user, what is the Celsius temperature? And then we're going to convert it, okay, to Fahrenheit. So this is our project for today. Okay, so we're going to start with writing our definition, visualizing how the output is going to be, and then coming out with an algorithm. So I'm going to put this to the side right here so that we can keep in mind our project. Okay, so if I'm going to redefine this project, what can I write that is going, in my own words, that is going to explain what we're doing here? I'm going to start by putting this program, what? It's doing what? It should do what? Convert Celsius temperature, right, to Fahrenheit. Is the Celsius temperature given? No, it's going to be provided by the user, right? So I'm going to put it prompts to input the temperature and then this gets converted, right? Okay, in my own words, I'm just writing something that is going to explain to me, right? I'm just saying it like out loud so that I remember what this is about. So if I have here a screen, what am I going to have on the screen? Okay, a question asking the user, like, what is the Celsius temperature? And then like a question mark, right? We want the user to type the answer on the same line or on the next line. Right here, do we accept it right here? Yes, that's fine. Next to the question, we want like leave a space and then have the cursor there blinking so that the user can type something up. Okay? So this is the question. The user is going to be giving us the temperature, the Celsius temperature, and now what is the program going to do? Display the parent. Do we just want to put like the number there, or we want to put it like a legend? Okay, like what? Okay, we can write the Fahrenheit temperature. And then leave a space and then display it, right? So we're only going to have 2 lines. One line is going to be used for the input so that we can ask the user for the Celsius temperature, and the second line that is going to be used for the Fahrenheit temperature that the program is going to display. Okay, if we're going to now come out with a plan, an algorithm, I don't need the book anymore, so I'm just going to use this. Here. Okay, what will be my first step? Okay, so we need to call on the preprocessor directives. Which ones do we need, or which one do we need? IO stream, cout. Okay, cout is an object that comes from the IO stream. The cin also is an object that comes from the IO stream. If I don't have the IO stream, I'm not able to use cout or cin. So we already have that taken care of by calling on the IO stream. Do we need the string? No. Do we need the CMath? Are we going to raise the number to a power? No. So we don't need those, right? So we just need the IO stream. Okay, so second step. Okay, I need my variables. So I'm going to define the variables that I need. Okay, how many variables can we identify right now? Celsius and Fahrenheit, 2. I want one of the variables, okay, that is going to be receiving the input, and then I want a second variable that is going to be producing or storing the value of the result of the formula. We're going to see when we write our program that we can do without it, but for right now we're going to keep those two. Okay, so we're going to put what type of let's see, Celsius. What type do we need? What data type do we need? What values are we going to be storing in there? It's going to be floating point, right? So we can either use float or we can use double. Of course, we can also use long double. One of those three, right? We have 3 of this. What about Fahrenheit? What values are we going to be placing in here? The same. So it can be a float, it can be a double, or it can be a long double. Okay, so we have these variables here. Do we need to start with a value? Like initialize it, put a 0 in there. No? Yeah, they can go negative, definitely. But when we reserve the area in main memory, do we need to like wipe out any trash that is there? We can do that. We can do that. Of course, when we receive the values from the user, those values are going to replace whatever we have, right? But we can start here, initial value. I'm going to put here a 0, right? For the first one, and I'm going to do the same thing. Again, when we define a variable and we define an initial value just so that we can erase whatever trash there is in memory. Okay, whatever trash. Why is there trash? Because everybody, all the programs that are in memory are fighting for that memory space, right? So another program just released that area of memory and we grab it. Our program is going to grab it. So of course there's something in there. Okay, so we already have our two variables. We reserve those two areas in main memory. So what will be the next step? Prompt the user, right? We need to ask the user for the Celsius. We need that in order to start working. So we're going to ask the user for the Celsius temperature. And of course, this is going to be placed in Celsius. I'm just putting like a little arrow to indicate that I'm going to be putting it in there. Remember, this is pseudocode. I use whatever I think is going to describe me the process, right? It's going to help me later on translate this into real code. So now that I have the Celsius, what do I do? I have the Celsius temperature. What am I supposed to do with it? Convert it. Apply the formula, right? So I'm going to put here, use the Celsius temperature and the formula. What is the formula that they gave me? Fahrenheit equals 9/5. I'm going to put it here. Times, I'm going to put it like with an X. Times what? Celsius plus 32. This is the formula that they give me. So I have to translate this into C++. After I have the Fahrenheit, what do I do now? Display. So now I display the F so I display the Fahrenheit temperature and that's it, right? That's all we need? So we have here, this is what we need. Display the Fahrenheit temperature with an appropriate message. And we already decided that this was going to be the message, right? The Fahrenheit temperature is. And we're ready to end the program. Questions on this? Okay, so we're ready now to write our code. So we're going to open Visual Studio. And we're going to start a new project. I'm just going to put it here on the side so that we can start our code. So I'm going to start a new project. I'm going to call this Chapter 3, Program 11. So we have Win32 console application. Again, remember, I always repeat this step so that we don't do something different. The name is going to be chapter 3 underscore PROG 11, and I put section 1. We click on the OK. It's going to prompt us if we want to finish or we want to go to the next step. We're going to answer to the dialog box next. So this is my application wizard, and I'm going to start with an empty project. And after I select empty project, make sure that its console application is checked. I'm going to click on the finish button, and then we're going to add the editor. Here we go. You open up my Solution Explorer. Okay, and I'm going to be adding code, right? Add new item. And we're going to be adding the code. And I'm going to use the same name. Chapter 3 underscore PROG 11 underscore 01. Okay, so we have external dependencies folder, header folder, resources folder. They're empty. The only one that has something in it is going to be my source files. And it's going to have chapter 3, program 11, 01, CPP for C++. I'm going to close this. I don't need it so that I can have the whole area here so that I can code my program. I'm going to increase this a little bit. Okay, so we start by setting up my documentation, right? We start with slash and then the asterisk. And what I do, this is the only thing that I copy from Word, because Word has some hidden codes that I don't want to bring into my program. But this one, because it's going to be a comment or a documentation line, I'm just going to copy it. Okay, I'm going to break it out into 2 lines. This program converts Celsius temperature to Fahrenheit temperature. It prompts the user, Okay, the next line is going to be my date, 10/06/2016, and then the next line is going to be who's coding this. So programmer, and it's going to be COSC 1336, right? Because you're all helping here. So as a team, we're writing this. We're done. So I'm going to close all my comment lines. I have 4 with the slash, with the asterisk slash. So now we're ready to start following our algorithm here, our pseudocode. So I have line number 1. Call the preprocessor directive, IOStream. So how do we convert that into C++? How do we call it? Hashtag include angle bracket, and then the IOStream. Okay, this is the only one, so my next line is going to be using namespace std semicolon. So I can finish my line. Okay, then I have defined variables. So I know that the definition of variables that we do it in main, right? So I start my main, int, main function, and I immediately open up my curly braces so that I can enclose all the instructions are going to be. That's my block. So define variables. I'm going to document this a little bit more. I'm going to break it down into the input, output definition and all that. So I'm going to put here define variables, so that I know that this part is going to be for the definition of variables. So we have here Celsius and Fahrenheit. They are either float, double, or long double, and they are going to have an initial value of 0. So I already have my notes right here. So how do I create that? What is the format to define and initialize variables? Data type first. So let's see, let's use double. And then after the data type, the name of the variable, right? Celsius. We're going to call it that, Celsius. After that, if I'm going to initialize it to 0, what do I use? The assignment operator. And the assignment operator is what we normally call the equal sign, right? And then the initial value. What is the initial value that we decided? A 0. So it's going to be double, Celsius, assignment operator, 0, and then we close that line with the semicolon. The next one, again, is going to be the same thing. So I'm going to use the same double, Fahrenheit, the assignment operator, and then a 0. Before I continue, can I reduce this to a single line? Yes, I can do that because both of these variables have the same data type, double and double. When that happens, I can, instead of having 2 lines, I can have a single line, separate my variables with a comma, and remove, of course, the second data type, and just have it like in one single statement. Why? Because both of them are doubles. If one of them was double and the other one was float, then I could not do it. If one of them was int and the second one was a long double, I cannot do it. It's only when I have the same data type. We only need to specify the data type once, and then we separate all the variables with a comma that have the same data type, of course. So we have these 2 variables now defined. So the next one is ask the user. Asking the user is my input operation, right? So this is input. When I ask the user for a Celsius temperature, they're asking me to ask a question first. That's the prompt, right? How do we prompt something? Cout. So I'm going to put cout, the output stream operator, and then within the quotes, I'm going to write my question. What is the Celsius temperature? Question mark, and I'm going to leave a space so that the answer of the user is not right next to my question, so that at least I have a space. Close the question, the quote, and close the statement. the next line is going to be my input now. What object do I use to input? Cin, and where am I going to be placing the value that the user is going to be typing? Into Celsius, into this variable that we have defined right here. So I need Cin, then my input operator, and then the variable Celsius, and then semicolon. What is going to happen with the 0 that I have there? When the user types the information and the user presses the enter key, whatever we had there is going to be replaced with the new information, right? So we have that, okay? So the next one is use the Celsius temperature in the formula. So this is a process. So now the process, what is going to take place inside main memory, and of course in this case is going to be using the arithmetic unit. So we have here a formula. So let's code that formula. What do I need to write first? The long double? Double? What are we going to be putting in the double? A variable, right? Do we have the variable? We already have the variable. We already defined Fahrenheit, didn't we? That's an area in main memory where we want to leave or we want to store the result of that formula. So that's the first thing that I need to do. Name the variable that is going to be receiving the value of that formula or the result of that formula. So I already have it right here. I don't need to define another one. I decided at the beginning that I was going to be using two variables. One of them was going to receive the input from the user, and that is Celsius, and the other variable was going to receive the result of the formula from the arithmetic unit. So in my process, the first thing that I need is to say, okay, this is where I'm going to store the result of that operation. So I'm going to name Fahrenheit. It's assigned, okay? What value is going to be assigned? The formula, the result of the formula. Arithmetic unit is going to receive Celsius because the control unit, remember, is going to grab it from main memory because the user already pressed the enter key, it went to the buffer, it went to main memory. So control unit grabs that Celsius and is going to take it to the arithmetic unit and is going to say, hey, I need for you to use this value in this formula. What formula? Tell me what to do. So we need to say what to do. Okay? So what are we going to be doing? What is the formula that we are giving the arithmetic unit? 9 divided by 5, right? So we need to say, okay, 9 is going to be divided by 5. And then multiply that. So how do we indicate multiplication? The asterisk. And then Celsius. And then at 32. Semicolon. Okay. This is what's going to happen inside the CPU. Remember when we have an assignment operator, which part is going to be solved first? The right, which is this, or the left, which is the Fahrenheit? The right. it's always going to do whatever we have to the right of the equal sign is going to be done first. So remember what I told you. When control unit finds this line, okay, it's executing your program, and it finds this line. It's going to say, hey, I have an assignment operator, so I do this part first, the right side of the assignment operator. And it say, okay, it's a formula. I don't know how to do it, but I know that the arithmetic unit does. So that's a part of the CPU that is going to be taking care of all the math. So it's going to say, okay, arithmetic unit is going to divide 9 times 5, and then it's going to multiply it by Celsius, and then it's going to add a 32. How do we know that this is the order of operation? Because remember, first, if I had parentheses, that was the first thing that the arithmetic unit was going to solve. But we don't have parentheses. So the next thing is going to be division and multiplication. And then after the division and multiplication is going to be the addition and subtraction, and everything is from left to right. So it knows how to do it. So it's going to do the division first. That's the arithmetic unit working. It's going to multiply that times Celsius, whatever there is in Celsius, okay, in main memory, and then it's going to add 32. When arithmetic unit gets the result, it's not going to keep that result in the arithmetic unit. It's going to say, okay, I'm done, control unit. So here's the result. Take it back to where? Main memory, and it's going to put it in Fahrenheit, in the variable Fahrenheit. So we need to remember how the assignment operator works, because it's very important. So the result is never kept in the arithmetic unit. We don't need it there. We need it in main memory. Why? Because from main memory, then we're going to send it to the screen. But we cannot do a direct transfer from arithmetic unit directly to the screen. It has to go through that section. So we have this. Next line is going to be the output we display, which is our line number 5. Display Fahrenheit. So how do we display something in C++? Cout, the output stream operator, and then we're going to display the message. The Fahrenheit temperature is. And then we have something else. So I'm going to close my quote. If I'm going to be displaying another item, I need to get my output operators, and I'm going to display Fahrenheit. And then I'm going to display another item, which is going to be my end line, so that my last message on the screen, press any key to continue, is not there next to my Fahrenheit. So we're done. Line number 6, which is return 0. I'm just going to skip a line here. So this is my program. We're ready to run it. And we're going to test now if this program works. I always check before I run it if I don't have any syntax errors, no wiggly lines. But now I have to verify that the program actually works by giving me the correct results. It's still working. You can see it right here. Here it is. Okay. We have now our dialog box. What is the Celsius temperature? Just so that we can try and see if this is correct, I'm going to use 0. If I use 0 Celsius Fahrenheit, this converts to 32 degrees in Fahrenheit. So I want to make sure that this works. So that's why I'm going to be using 0 right now. What is the Celsius temperature? 0. I'm going to enter. And there it is. The Fahrenheit temperature is 32 degrees. So this program with the first temperature that I'm typing in is giving me the correct results. Because I already know that, right? So this works. Okay, I'm going to run it again and try a different one. Control F5. What is the Celsius temperature? I'm going to put 28 degrees Celsius. We want to convert that. Okay, so the Fahrenheit temperature is 60 degrees. Would that be correct? No. No? Why not? Let's see. What we can do is test this, right, with another program and see if it works. So I'm just going to open our Google Friend here. I'm going to put here convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. Celsius 0, Fahrenheit 32. 28. Fahrenheit is going to be 82.4. So what is wrong with our program? $28. What is wrong with our formula? The order is wrong?
Will it do 9 divided by 5 and then use times Celsius?
Uh-huh.
Use 5 times Celsius?
No, it's going to divide 9 divided by 5. Shall I put some parentheses here? What if I put it like this? Control F5. We know that it's like 82, right? 28 should be 82. You cannot see the error here. Let's just try this one. This is not going to work because you already told me why. Okay, because even if I put parentheses, this is still going to do it. But I'm putting parentheses just to highlight that part that I'm going to give you. Okay, what is the Celsius temperature? I'm going to put again. I decided it was 28, right? So it's still 60, so that is not correct. What is happening here? What is happening here? 9/5. This is supposed to give us a fraction, right? This should be giving us 1.8. Right now it's not giving us a 1.8. It's giving us a 1. Why? Because both numbers are integers. Both numbers are integers. And remember, if I'm going to be using two operands that are the same type, the result is going to be that type. Let me show you. If we put 5.0, 5.0, Control F5. Now I have an integer and a floating point number, right? Whole number and floating point number. And Victor, right now that you mentioned that if you put 1.8, it works. Why? Because we were truncating the 0.8. That was correct. But we need to know that that is happening because of the division of 9/5. It's going to say how many times will 5 go into 9? One time, and that's it. It's not going to bring in the decimal portion. What is the Celsius temperature? Okay, so we're going to put here 28. Press the enter key. The Fahrenheit temperature is what? 82.4. So now we get the correct result. Why? Because we changed one of the numbers, right, to a floating point number. So even if we don't have any syntax errors, even if we check the program with the 0 temperature, we have to check it a couple more times with different scenarios just to make sure that everything is going to work. If I'm going to be coding a program to print the paychecks, well, I'm going to check the program if it works with 40 hours or less than 40 hours or more than 40 hours, if the employee has some deductibles or no deductibles. So we need to put all the different scenarios to make sure that the program works before we put it to work in the system that is going to be installed. So this is the way that we're going to be correcting this. Okay, we don't need the parenthesis. I just used the parenthesis just to show you that that was the part that we needed to correct. Okay, we don't need the parentheses. Both numbers can be decimals, 9.0 or 5.0. But if one of them is a decimal, it's a floating point number, that is fine. Okay, but we can also put both of them. I'm just going to try it one more time, 9.0, no parentheses, and we're going to put Control F5. This time I'm going to put it like 15 degrees. I think this is the last time that I'm going to run it because it takes so long. Okay, here it comes. What is the Celsius temperature? They say 15. Let's put 15 out. Now the Fahrenheit temperature is 59. So I don't have to do the parentheses, right? Again, I was just showing you with the parentheses what was the incorrect part because we had two integers, so the result was always going to be an integer. 9/5 was going to be 1 all the time. It was going to be all the time 1. Questions on this? Okay. Right here? Okay, what will happen if I move the formula right here? Do I have Celsius? No. I don't have Celsius. So I cannot calculate before I get all the values that I need. Remember, we need to follow 1, 2, 3. That's why when I was planning, this is what I planned right here. Another thing that we can do is I'm not going to be using Fahrenheit anymore, right? This value, I'm not using it anymore. So instead of calculating it here, I can remove all this. And change it right here. So now I don't need Fahrenheit anymore. This space in main memory. Okay, but we are going to do it only if we're not going to be using that value anymore. If Fahrenheit is going to be used for another operation, we want to put that result in Fahrenheit because that way we don't have to send the whole formula a second time to the arithmetic unit. Okay, so we're going to try it again. Control F5. Hopefully this time it goes a little bit faster. So we're reducing our program. That's why when I check your programs, I always see your logic because I know that each one of you is going to develop your own style. Of course, we always have to make sure that we optimize the time the CPU is going to be taking. Okay, what is the Celsius temperature? Here it is. We already know that if we type a 28, it's going to give us like a 82, right? So we press enter and there it is. Okay? Any other question?